et bienvenue. Today we're going to look at the perfect tense. Perfect tense in French is what you call le passé composé. Passé composé is one of the tenses we use to talk about past events, things that happened in the past. So what do I mean by perfect tense? For something to be perfect, it means it's complete. When I say I have eaten, it's complete. But when I say I was eating, something was going on. Or if I say I am eating, something is still going on. So that is imperfect. It's still going on, or it was going on, imperfect. But for something to start and come to an end, perfect. So I ate, or I have eaten, that's perfect. I bought, perfect. You sold, perfect. So anytime you want to talk about past events that started and came to an end, we use perfect tense, which you call in le passé composé. Now, how do we use passé composé? Because we do want to make grammatically correct sentences in French. I want to say yesterday I ate. Last week she bought. Passé composé basically involves the past tense of verbs. Now, as you know, there are so many verbs in French that we would want to study their past tense. But we cannot do this. So for us to be able to understand all these verbs, we're going to zero in to different groups of verbs. Today, I want us to focus on what we call movement verbs. Movement verbs. In movement verbs, basically going to look at a verb like monter, which means to go up. Alright? We're going to look at a verb like rester, which is to stay or to remain. We look at a verb like sortir, which means to leave. We're looking at a verb like venir, which means to come. We're looking at a verb like aller, which is to go. Naître, to be born. Descendre, which is to go down. Another verb is entrer, which is to go in. I know because of entrer, you're likely to think it's to enter, to go in. Retourner, to return back. Tomber, which is to fall. And then you have rentrer, which is to return home. We have mourir, to die. And finally partir, which is to leave. So I've just given you a few verbs which I'm calling movement verbs. But there's a formula that we can use to remember these movement verbs. And the formula is what we call Mrs. Van der Trump. Mrs. Van der Trump. So for Mrs. Van der Trump, it is an acronym whereby every letter of Mrs. Van der Trump stands for a verb. So Mrs. M-R-S. M stands for monter. Monter. And the past participle of monter is still monter. The only difference is we drop the R and we put an accent on monter, as you can see on the whiteboard. So monter, to go up, and the participe passé, which is its past participle, is monter, as you can see. R comes in as retourner. And the participe passé of retourner is, again, you can see on the whiteboard, retourner. We remove the R and put an accent. S, sortir, to go out. Sortir, to go out. The participe passé for sortir is sorti. We drop the R. Sorti. So we are done with Mrs. We start Van. V stands for venir. Venir means to come. And the participe passé for venir is venu. Venu. Venir, to come, venu, came. Then we come to aller, which is to go. I know you heard songs like aller, 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 go, go, go. Aller simply means to go. And the participe passé of aller is aller. We drop the R and we put an accent, as you can see on the whiteboard behind me. Then we have N, naître. Naître. Naître means to be born. So past tense of naître, which I'm calling participe passé, is né. Né. Naître, to be born. Né. It's participe passé. Then we come to descendre, to go down. And the participe passé of descendre is descendu. Descendu. The next one is entrer, as you can see on the whiteboard, entrer, which is to go in. And when one say went in, entrer, the past tense becomes entrer with an accent. R, rester. Rester. Rester, of course, is to stay or to remain. Rester, we remove the R and put an accent, rester. Then you have tomber. Tomber, which is to fall. To fall is to fall. You don't say it fall down because you've never fallen up. So tomber is to fall. Then the participe passé of tomber is tomber. Drop the R, put an accent. Followed by rentrer. Rentrer. And the participe passé, because in an ER verb again, we just drop the R and put an accent. Arriver, to arrive. Same thing. Drop the R, put an accent. Mourir, to die. When someone died, now that's the past tense of mourir. That becomes mort, M-O-R-T. But if you're talking about a lady, we add an E. All these verbs, when you're talking about ladies, you end up adding E, because you're talking about something which is feminine. And finally, the last one is partir, which is to leave. And here we simply drop the R, and we end up with partir. Now, I know you're almost asking me a question and saying, Monsieur Ignatius, yes, you told us about the verbs, which are movement verbs, and you told us about their past participle, which is participe passé, or rather their past tense form. But how do we use them? For instance, when we take the verb like monter, which is to go up, the past participle is monter with an accent. Do you say je montais? Because you say I went? No, we do not do that. For past tense in French, there are two verbs that we use as auxiliary. You either use avoir or you use être. Now, all these verbs I've given you, which are movement verbs, are using a verb we call être, which is to be. Of course, you say je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. You know that. Now, we're going to use the present tense of être to come up with sentences. For example, we have monter, which is to go up. And the participe passé of monter is monter. So I want to say, I went up. So I simply say, je suis monté. I went up. You went up, tu es monté. She went up, elle est montée. He went up, il est monté. We went up, nous sommes montés. You guys went up, vous êtes montés. They went up, ils sont or elles sont montées. Are you seeing how it works? We're using être, present tense, followed by the participe passé of a movement verb. For instance, I want to say I went. And went, this went simply is the past tense of aller. Aller, 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 aller is to go. So the participe passé of aller is aller. Now, I want to say I went. Because aller is part of Mrs. Van der Trump, it's using être. So I say, je suis allé, tu es allé, il est allé, elle est allée, nous sommes allés, vous êtes allés, ils sont allés, elles sont allées. As simple as that. So any verb that belongs to Mrs. Van der Trump, when you want to put it into past tense, you must use être. Is that clear? So whether you're given a million verbs, what you need to ask yourself is that only movement verbs, only Mrs. Van der Trump verbs are using être. I want us to stop there. When we come back, I'll be looking at verbs that are using avoir. Thank you and bye-bye.